How many of you have traveled overseas this year? Please raise your hand if you traveled overseas and you took a plane to get to your destination. Come on, don't be shy. Right, we live in Singapore, everyone takes a plane, right? Great, yep, I see many hands. And that is to be expected with all the revenge travel after the pandemic. Many of us do not blink twice when we step on a plane. We assume that we'll get to our destination safe and sound. After all, isn't aviation the safest mode of transport? Yes, it is. But what many people do not know is the sheer amount of effort, planning, and technology it takes to maintain these high levels of safety in aviation. While many of us are focused on the hardware, which we define as the systems and technology, it's important to also focus on the lifeware, by which we mean the humans in the aviation safety system. Many of us have heard of popular culture, corporate culture, or even national culture. But how many of us have heard about safety culture? What is safety culture, you might ask me? So here is where I give you a textbook definition. According to the International Civil Aviation Organization, safety culture is the expression of safety that is perceived, valued, and prioritized by the management and employees within an organization. In other words, it's how people behave in relation to safety when no one's watching, when Big Brother's not watching. In a company with good safety culture, people understand the importance of safety and are willing to take actions to prioritize it. For example, workers may choose not to take a shortcut even when faced with commercial pressure or short turnaround time when maintaining aircraft. But why is safety culture important? Safety culture has a significant impact on the safe performance of companies. If someone does not truly believe that safety is important, then workarounds and unsafe decisions will ensue. Take a look at this video. This just occurred in the US 2 weeks ago. And the hashtag for this Twitter video is bonk, B-O-N-K. I know a lot of people find it very funny. But this is a prime example of what might happen if an aviation worker does not prioritize safety. Managing safety is not just the responsibility of workers or staff with safety in their job titles. It's the responsibility of every member in the organization. For the management, their commercial interests should not outweigh their commitment to safety, as there is an inherent cost to safety. For workers, they need to know that their work, their actions have a direct impact on the safe operation of aircraft. Going back to the video example, could you imagine what would have happened if that vehicle went onto an active runway? An aircraft fully loaded with passengers could have collided with it. And that would have been a terrible accident. Trying to maintain the same levels of safety around the world is hard. Every country has its unique challenges, and the country's national culture has a significant influence on its safety culture. Take safety reporting, for example. In a country where there's a high power distance index, where hierarchy is clearly established and respected by staff within the organization may be hesitant to report unsafe practices that are committed by their superiors. Similarly, for cultures that have high collectivism, the workers on the ground may be less willing to report safety hazards for the fear of disrupting the harmony within the team. Countries with high power distance index and high collectivism, do they sound familiar? Audience, can you suggest a few countries that happens to rank high on these two cultural dimensions? Yeah, here are a few good ones popping up here and there, and I hear a lot of murmuring as well, right? You're right. A lot of these countries exist here in our region in Asia. And that's why I've been recently asked this question: can a positive safety culture truly be implemented in Asia? I know there are many naysayers out there, but I earnestly believe that we can achieve this in Asia. Culture, national culture, is organic. It's alive. And that's why we need to take a nuanced approach when implementing safety culture in each organization and each country. We need to graft it into existing organizational cultures and national cultures, much akin to transplanting an organ. This requires deep understanding of the existing cultures and patience. Trying to copy and paste what is being done in another country without tailoring it and transplanting it to another country would almost certainly result in failure. Companies should also try to leverage aspects of the national culture which lends itself well to safety culture. Many safety initiatives around the world have been implemented to much success in places such as Europe as well as North America, where the culture of speaking up, regardless of one's rank and file, is much more prevalent. But consider the cultural context in this region, where countries tend to have a higher power distance index and collectivism. In other words, we place more emphasis on giving face, and people are less willing to speak out of turn. How then can such safety initiatives be adapted and implemented here in Asia? Here are some recommendations. First, we need to identify the problem. Secondly, we need to localize it by carving it out of the cultural context. And last but not least, we need to inspire people to action. Let's take crew resource management for pilots as an example. Crew resource management, or CRM, as it's commonly known in the industry, was developed in response to data which shows that there are an increasing number of accidents which do not occur due to technical malfunction of the aircraft, but rather due to miscommunication or lack of communication between pilots. A famous example would be the Tenerife airport accident, which occurred in 1977. 2 aircraft collided on the runway, unfortunately killing 583 people. The KLM pilot misinterpreted a message transmitted by the air traffic controller. He thought he had a clearance to take off when he did not. The discrepancy was picked up by the first officer, and he questioned the captain. However, the captain dismissed him. The seniority of the captain and the fact that he was the head of training at the company created a power dynamic which made it hard for the first officer to assert himself. If the captain was willing to listen to the concerns of the first officer and the flight engineer, we would have probably avoided the worst accident in the history of aviation. Now, going back to national culture, how can we address national culture in the context of CRM? First, we need to identify the problem. The challenge between pilot and co-pilot pairings from cultures that have a high power distance index, as well as collectivism, would be the fear of speaking up or appearing to be speaking out of line. And this is especially so for the more junior pilot in the cockpit when they're raising their concerns. Then secondly, we should localize it by carving out the space that is the cockpit and telling the pilot and co-pilot that within this space, they can set aside their national culture in favor of safety. For example, the first officer should feel like there isn't a problem to question the captain and that it isn't rude to do so. This is a space where safety trumps all. And last but not least, we need to inspire people to action. We need to promote the duty to speak up. This step is the hardest and usually requires organizational level efforts to develop frameworks to empower the change without fear of reprisal. Companies should also leverage aspects of Asian culture, such as the sense of belonging, to help drive positive behavior. Even though national cultures with high power distance index and collectivism may appear diametric to CRM techniques, CRM has been implemented with great success in many airlines around Asia. So, in short, national culture and safety culture can coexist. So we talked a lot about LifeWare, the humans, right? So how does LifeWare interact with hardware? Are they opposed to each other, or can they augment each other? More often than not, they are complementary. Technology has been used to facilitate the implementation of safety culture. Going back to the safety reporting example, many countries in Asia have realized that aviation workers are actually willing to report safety hazards if their anonymity can be guaranteed. So many organizations, including aviation regulators, have turned to technology for help. They have used technology to develop websites or even phone apps to encourage reporting. These initiatives have been implemented to great success and has been lauded as the first step in implementing a positive safety culture in Asia. I believe that technology is a great ally in helping to minimize the risk of human variability in performance. And this could include the negative impacts of a poorly aligned safety culture vis-a-vis the national culture. While we embark on the exciting journey to include new technologies such as AI to revolutionize air travel, I think it's important to consider the role of the human in this journey. For me, I see LifeWare as the key component driving aviation safety and is at the heart of aviation. So the next time you take a plane, please pause and take a look at the people around you, the pilots, the engineers, the ground handlers, the people who keep you safe on every single flight. Thank you for your kind attention.